The Yuuzhan Vong, for those who still don't know at this point, were an extragalactic species which used only biotech weapons and ships and hated all machines because their galaxy was destroyed by robots. Anyway, since the days of the Old Republic, the Yuuzhan Vong had sent scout ships observing the galaxy and preparing for their invasion. In actuality, the Vong would invade the galaxy in 25 ABY, but as you saw for the title of this video, the Vong are invading during the Thrawn Campaign. The Thrawn Campaign took place in 9 ABY, which was about 5 years after the Battle of Endor. The state of the galaxy at this point in time has the New Republic controlling much of the known galaxy, with most Imperial warlord kingdoms reduced to a fraction of what they once were. However, Grand Admiral Thrawn would consolidate what was left of the Empire, and with a relatively small initial fleet, he would come the closest to any Imperial warlord to defeating the New Republic in the post-Endor era, but only lost due to the betrayal of his bodyguard Rook. Now the next question becomes, when do the Vong invade, as that will impact how the scenario goes. For example, if it happens right at the start, then Thrawn doesn't have the Katana fleet and cloning technology at his command. If it happens just before the Battle of Bilbringi, then it's at the climax of the campaign, where Thrawn is at the height of his power, but I think it would be most interesting if the Vong invaded during the Siege of Coruscant before Thrawn's fleet leaves the planet. Unlike the New Republic, Thrawn is prepared in more ways than one for the Vong invasion. You see, Thrawn knew about the Vong's existence and had a great knowledge on how they operated in the unknown regions. But the issue is, for the Grand Admiral, that he is still at war with the New Republic, which would probably initially see the Vong invasion as an unknown alien, unknown regions attack against the Empire, but the New Republic would soon realize that the Vong are far worse than anything they could have imagined. However, Thrawn and the New Republic, for the time being, would still fight a few more battles before the New Republic properly responds. The traditionally isolationist Chiss Ascendancy would also likely intervene in the Yuuzhan Vong War, as they also knew about the alien invaders and would be allied with Thrawn. The Grand Admiral would additionally have assets such as the Empire of the Hand, ready to fight against the Vong in the unknown regions to alert him of the invasion. The Hand serves as a buffer against the Vong as Thrawn begins to make efforts to make peace with the New Republic. Speaking of which, the New Republic would at first reject the idea of peace with Thrawn because they see the Yuuzhan Vong invasion as a potential ally against the Empire, but they would eventually come around. However, the Noghri are still going to be a problem, as Leia and the New Republic would reveal that the Empire had still been poisoning the planet to keep the Noghri loyal to the Empire, while the New Republic is still fighting against Thrawn. So that would prove to be a major inconvenience to Thrawn, as he would basically have to level the planet while also dealing with the Vong. Meanwhile, from the deep core, Palpatine and his Dark Empire are observing the galaxy's chaos. Although Palpatine is greatly disappointed by the fact that Thrawn had attempted to rule the galaxy and not wait for his own return, and by the fact that Thrawn was now leading a coalition with both the New Republic and parts of the Empire that he deemed unworthy, the Yuuzhan Vong threat will eventually cause the Dark Empire to reveal itself and aid the coalition in its own way. However, the reborn Emperor Palpatine will have his own motives while fighting the war in this uneasy alliance. The course of the war, in my opinion, sees the coalition consistently conceding to the Dark Empire's demands in exchange for the reborn Emperor's support during the war. The Dark Empire would take advantage of every moment of the war to occasionally take planets that were under New Republic control, or fold Imperial units that were loyal to Thrawn under its own command. Palpatine would escalate these instances more and more as the tide turns further against the Vong as the war continues more and more in his favor. I think it goes without saying that the coalition will go all out on bioweapons and chemical agents against the Yuuzhan Vong. With that, the end of the war against the Yuuzhan Vong, in my view, comes after probably 3 years of conflict in the galaxy. The galaxy has been extremely devastated after the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. However, things are not going to be peaceful in the aftermath, as although Thrawn's Empire and the New Republic are on good terms now, the wrench in galactic peace is, of course, the Dark Empire. You see, the Dark Empire will have proved itself to be one of the most effective factions in the war against the Yuuzhan Vong, with deep core superweapons like the Galaxy Gun, World Devastators, Eclipse-class dreadnoughts, and more. However, Palpatine is still evil and wants to rule over the entire galaxy. I can see in the immediate aftermath of the war, witnessing the New Republic appeasing Palpatine on many demands, but things might turn to a resumed galactic civil war, as Palpatine only wants the Dark Empire to control everything. Meanwhile, Thrawn's faction must choose which side to aid in order to determine how the resumed war over a devastated galaxy will go. However, Palpatine may still harbor some resentment towards the Grand Admiral. However, that is of course just my opinion. What did you think would have happened had the Yuuzhan Vong invaded during the Thrawn Campaign? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.